Hey guys, welcome to Yoga Snacks. Tracy here. Today's yoga snack is a second wind series, if you will. Kind of working on that middle of the day slump when you might need a little bit of extra energy, a little bit more breath, a little more blood flow. So this particular series you can do seated. You can do on your knees, like I'm sitting in Virasana, or seated in a Sukhasana pose, which is cross-legged pose. Couple props that are always nice to have around would be some kind of a towel or a blanket, especially if this feels uncomfortable to your knees. You can always pad the knees, or of course, sit on top of the blanket to pad the hips. It's always nice to have a block as well too, or anything block-like. If you're in your office, perhaps a water bottle. So for those of us midday slump, I'm thinking about being in the car and my shoulders are up around my ears and I'm driving, or I'm sitting at a desk and doing the same kind of scenario while I'm working on a keyboard. Whatever it might be, it's time to kind of just open up the torso, lengthen the spine, bring our breath and our blood flow back to our heart and our head so we can elevate our mind, body, and spirit. So let's get started. I, again, am sitting in Virasana, Hero's Pose. If this is comfortable, go ahead and join me. If this is not comfortable, find another seated pose that is. Also, you could do this in a chair. If you are on your knees, nice option is to open up the balls of the feet by tucking the toes under and allowing your hips to sit high on your heels. So I won't direct you when to come out of this if you choose this pose. Just know that when you've had enough of the stretch, you'll come out slowly and tap the tops of the feet, okay? I'll also direct us into that pose a little bit later, so if you want to wait for that as well, feel free. So let's just check in. It's the middle of the day. You're wanting to kind of re-invite your energy back to your brain, into your body and your heart. So let's start with closing the eyes. Maybe it's just a soft gaze. Wherever you're seated, we're going to allow the shoulders to shrug up near the ears. And then actively, we're going to grow the shoulders down the back as the heart lifts high. We're thinking about a Tadasana type shape in our torso. We're going to lift the chin up just for a moment here, and then maybe even use your finger to draw your chin back towards your throat. So this means we're lengthening our cervical spine, our neck spine. While we're getting tall with our spine, we're allowing our chin back towards our throat. Swallow a couple times just to kind of release the throat, keep everything open. Let's bring our belly into play. So let's lift up our belly, literally feel the lifting up. And now draw your navel back towards your spine. This is kind of a suck-in type feeling. You might have heard of Uddiyana Bandha before on your mat. We call that navel lock, where we're drawing our navel back towards our spine. And we kind of want to corset it there. We want to hold it snug. So now we're bringing more of our air volume into our upper lungs, the upper lobes. So our chest is going to rise a little bit higher. We're going to fill up our side lungs. We're going to drop our shoulders. We're going to draw that chin towards the throat. Now let's add a smile, soften the face. Now we're just going to slowly start to move into our neck space. Taking it wherever it feels right. Maybe it's a constant movement of ear towards shoulder, making sure we're keeping all that we just built, all the integrity of that length in our spine, nice and long and open. If you find a spot, like space on your neck that needs a little bit more attention, stay with it. Breathe into that space. You might find that walking your fingertips out from your hips a little bit allows you to get even deeper. Sometimes it feels good to kind of ebb and flow the chin towards the middle of the chest and then back out towards that shoulder. I know for me, sometimes I get almost an electrical type feel when I'm moving into this space, and know that that is a-okay. It's just kind of opening up our nerves, nervous system pathways, stretching out, and then switch to the other side. Again, maybe you're doing more of an ebb and flow back and forth, or maybe you're settling in one side, walking the fingers out on the other. Again, this is a take what you need practice. And let's bring it all back to center wherever you are with that. So from center, allow the fingertips to just press into the mat as you grow nice and tall with the spine. Now we're going to lift the chin up and then back down. So we're continuing with our neck series here. Up and then back down as you gaze down towards your belly. Inhale, it's almost like a seated cat and cow. It's a little bit of a pelvic tilt with this one. Rocking forward. Again, this could be done seated in your chair, in your Sukhasana, which is cross-legged pose, or perhaps you're joining me in Virasana. Maybe a couple more of these. And let's draw it back to a neutral spine, but nice and tall. So now we're going to let our entire right palm come down to the mat. So we're kind of shifting into our left hip, pressing our left hip off to the left. Now we start to walk this right palm down, but then remember to roll that right shoulder open. This might just be about opening up the chest, attempting a shoulder on shoulder-ish type stance as we open. The next option might be to then draw your bicep up over your ear. And from here, you take it wherever you want to take it. We're going to keep snugging that left hip towards the left as we're engaging our arm, this left arm here, rolling open towards the right. And just take as much as you need. And then we slowly are going to roll that out into the front of our mat. Let your right hand join your left, and then slowly walk everything over to where now the left hand is next to the left hip. Same scenario. Start with just opening the chest, rolling the shoulder open. Great time to swallow and make sure that throat is nice and open. Let's stack our shoulder over the wrist and open that left shoulder. If it feels good, to invite the right arm up, bicep over the ear. Start to snug into that right hip as we arch over, and maybe we're encouraging that left hand to pad itself away a little bit. And when you feel like you've kind of balanced from that other side stretch, walk it back out to the front. And we're going to take this, I don't know, 1 or 2 more times each side. Again, you take what you need. This is about a 10-minute sequence, but perhaps you need it to be a 20-minute sequence. You can always add a couple more variations. Exhale, round out. Slowly walk to the other side. No wrong way to do this pose. It's just about opening up, making space, inviting new energy, new blood flow, new airflow back into our nervous system. A little bit of rejuvenation here for the middle of the day. And we'll take this just one more time each side together. And again, like before, maybe this side needs a little bit more, so you stay here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 cycles of breath. It does not have to be one breath, one movement ever. All right. So now we're going to come back to more of a traditional cat-cow type posturing. That just means we're on all fours. If you want a little bit of cat-cow to kind of massage out the spine, feel free. But I'm going to use this as a gateway into our toe stand. So we're going to tuck our toes and send our hips back. Great time for a child's pose right here as we're opening the balls of the feet and walking the fingers forward. Shrug the shoulders down. Soften your head and heart towards the mat. Rather than letting the knees go wide, which I will typically instruct in child's pose, keep your knees together. So you won't maybe go down as far in your child's pose. Reason being is we're going to play with toe stand here. All right, so now let's start to walk the fingertips back. We're literally going to stand on our toes. So we're lifting, pressing into the fingerprints, if you will, lifting off the shins and the knees. Keep snugging that navel back. So you've got that corset on, that Uddiyana Bandha corset. And now I'll turn to the front. So you can see here, where hips are down at our heels, okay? And we're going to try to get long in the torso for a moment. I know this is a bit of a challenge on the balance, especially if the balls of the feet don't love this pose. Not everyone's favorite pose. Then maybe you start to challenge yourself. So maybe it's wrapping one forearm around the shins, and maybe it feels good to round in here, letting your head come down towards your knees. Maybe you'd like to challenge your balance further, and it's okay if we're falling in and out of these things. Slowly, when you feel ready, we'll make our way towards standing, but very slow. So palms will come down. We're going to start with letting the heels find their way to the ground as we ragdoll into a forward fold over our thighs. What's nice about this ragdoll is you can take whatever you need. Perhaps you're pedaling the knees. Maybe we like to find opposite elbows here and get even heavier in the torso. Nice and slow. We'll release a bind if we've chosen it. We're going to slowly soften the knees and roll up to standing. Once we're standing in more of our traditional Tadasana, let's shrug the shoulders, just like what we did seated. Up and down a few times, maybe the other direction. Then inhale, let's sweep the arms high. Then exhale, let's open up. So a little back bend. Let your elbows snug into your ribs. Lift your heart, tilt that chin up, and then back towards the throat. Inhale, reach high. Exhale, hands draw into heart center. All right, hopefully you feel refreshed. You're ready for your second half of the day. Namaste. I hope to see you next time.